All right, it is Halloween, so happy Halloween. Today's training session, myself and Steve, he might not be getting much done, but we are gonna open up a can of bass on this training session. We got upper body again, so we're gonna get warmed up. We're gonna get going. We're gonna hit our depth drop plyo push-ups. We are gonna do the rolling, or drop catch ring rows, our tumble roll somersault into the overhead throw. Then we're gonna go do some behind the neck press, work up to a heavy set of 2 on that. Pair with, we're gonna climb the rope again, those short rope climbs, because again, we don't have the tall and it's raining out. Tall ceilings in here, but then we'll hit our accessories and we'll be good to go. So if you're down with that, give me a hell yeah! These jeans are kind of tight, especially in the crotchal region. On the rolls, it does not feel the greatest. I don't know how anyone could ever wear skinny jeans. These aren't even that skinny, but they're crushing the old nuts. Back, or behind the neck press, sorry. Again, overhead. And a lot of fitness influencers, a lot of coaches out there tell you don't lift overhead. Well, you should probably lift overhead. You don't have to do this variation. Meet yourself where you're at. A lot of people do struggle. Yeah, it's true. They probably have I have some lack of overhead mobility, but I do this stuff so it helps me get better at going overhead, getting stronger overhead. Whether that's the behind the neck press, a dumbbell overhead press, a handstand is a great way to start, and just work your way up to the different variations of handstands, just doing things overhead. Even just rapid rep arm, taking your shoulders through full ranges of motion. Because when people tell you don't do something because it's not going to help, like don't go overhead because you got lack of shoulder mobility. But that is probably the thing that is going to help you build shoulder mobility. Or they tell you not to squat because your knees are bad. That's probably going to help you improve your knee health if you squat. Again, you don't have to do the behind the neck press. You don't have to do a barbell. There's a million different variations, but going overhead and doing overhead movements is probably going to help your mobility. So don't fear overhead movement. Yes, everyone's going to be at a different spot. So meet yourself where you are. If you don't know, if you struggle to figure out that, hire a coach. Find a coach. Hire me. I'll help you figure that out. But again, doing the thing that is the issue is probably going to help. So if your issue is going overhead or lack of shoulder mobility, doing things that help increase the range of motion and help the movement overhead is probably going to help you. But who am I? I'm not a doctor. So again, do overhead things if you want to improve your shoulder range of motion, your overhead strength. If you're a baseball player, a volleyball player, yeah, you do a lot of that in sport, but you should also train it so your body is prepared and used to these movements and being overhead and taking it in a different range of motion and challenging yourself, because if you're not doing that, it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better by not doing anything. Just sitting around doing nothing, if you never move your shoulders into a full range of motion overhead or anything like that, and again, it's tough in here for me because I'm touching the ceiling, but again, you're never going to get better at it. So yeah, you can do all the stuff down here, the fly or the lateral raises and things like that. But again, going overhead is actually going to help you. So again, you might not be able to get there right away, but meet yourself where you're at. It's about being realistic with where you are, but it's okay to have unrealistic goals and set your goals and standards high. But just not doing something because someone said it on social media or some video or something you saw, that's a lot of just fear mongering, forcing you to be scared of movement when you should challenge yourself and you should push yourself, because that's what's actually going to make you better, is by doing the thing. So going overhead is going to help your overhead mobility. But that's just my 2 cents. So we're going to hit another set here. Working up to a set of 2. Again, I don't have a great range of motion on these, but there's no better mobility training than actually training. Yeah, I was going to do the rope climbs in between, but this is the best setup for the behind the neck press. And it's kind of a pain to crawl up there with the barbell there, so we'll just do that as a separate thing. So adding in dumbbell side bends as well to get a little bit more spinal movement to the side there. So again, on these, try not to push the hip out, really just focus on the spine. Too many people just kick the hips out when they're doing them. Never realize how uncomfortable it is lifting in boots, in jeans. Be just our impulses. So we're going to go pec, we're going to go bicep, tricep, and rear delt fly. So one thing with accessories is people just tend to treat them like accessories, and I mean I call them accessories just because I guess that's how, just been doing it so long, that's what I call them. But if you really want to get the most out of your training sessions and your workouts, is start treating your accessories like you would your main lift. Your main lift, oh yeah, you're going hard, you have your intent, you're going heavy. And I'm not saying you have to do a heavy all the time, because these are heavy, but I'm focusing more on speed. But you should always have that intent, even if it is a supplemental or an accessory lift. Use that intent, have that same energy, that same intent, effort in those movements as you would your main lift. It's going to make the quality better. It's going to make the reps better, and you're going to get more out of it. It's going to be more effective. Whereas if you're just, oh, it's my accessory, so here's my bicep curl, so we're just going through the motions. No, let's actually hit it with intent, with effort, just like you would your main lift or your main movement of the day. So we're going to hit the pec fly first, bicep curls. Again, these are rapid reps, so again, fast as possible. I'll start getting tired because we're doing sets of 50, so I'll be tired by the end. But again, fast, as many reps as possible. Think of it's huge impact, fast impact at each joint angle or muscle or wherever you're trying to hit with these. So we're going to start with the bent over pec. 50 of these. Find that spot where it's going to be. Again, you can change it up. You can go out here more, not as much pec, in here more. And that's the nice thing about Impulse. You can play around with them, especially if you have I have a reverse hyper, which works well. Just got to get on the ground, or you can get Dax, his arm, I can't even think what he calls it, but he's got an arm that's basically like this, but it will hook onto a barbell. Or you can get creative and DIY your own thing. So, or you can just hook it up to a rack or something immovable and do it that way too. So here we go, rapid wrap. Right arm is going to be much better than the left arm because that's the arm I use. So left arm will probably be a lot slower once we get higher, a lot worse looking. Steve, we made it through another session. Want one? Nice hands, Larry. Oh, he doesn't want one? This is just me. Sure makes it harder to open these damn things. There we go. Not as good as I used to be back in the drinking days.